It's the January summer holidays of 2022. My mates and I are all 14 years old, and pretty much every single night throughout these holidays we were staying at one of the boys' houses, okay? So the main lads that I would kick it with were named Crocker, who was my best mate, Josh and Dallas. But we knew if we wanted to have a hectic night, like fully hectic, right, crazy, Josh's house was the place to go. Reason being because his mum was super lenient. She didn't really care too much about him. As sad as that is to say, there was a lot of neglect going on there, as some of you will know from my past videos. Now, Josh's house had burned down the previous year, so as a result, he had to move in with his nan and pop. But this particular weekend, his nan and pop had gone on a holiday, so they were out of town. And his mum had decided to invite her friends around to the house, which really pissed Josh off. So Josh rings us up, tells us to come around, you know, invites me, my brother and Crocker around to stay for the night. And our plans were pretty simple, you know. We're gonna sesh up, play some video games, talk shit like we always do, stay up late, all that sort of thing. Your typical teenage things, right? Get to Josh's house, go into his room, you know, we're eshing up, we're playing GTA, playing Fortnite, spinning yarns. But I would say around an hour or two into being there, Josh goes out to his mum and his mum's mates, okay? He's talking to them. And around 15 minutes later, he comes inside. He's telling us how cool they are, you know, he was eshing up with them. They're mad c***s, he says. And so Crocker and I are debating whether or not we should go out there. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, we decide to go out. And it's pretty normal for the most part, aside from us being, you know, young kids hanging out with adults. We come back inside and, you know, we put in a good word for these lads. I say to my brother, you know, they're mad c***s, this and that. And once again, around 10 minutes later, he's debating whether or not he should go out there with us. And just as he's about to, one of the guys who was outside with us comes into Josh's room, uninvited, okay? The door's closed, he doesn't knock, he just walks in. And he starts talking to us, you know, he's spinning a yarn, he's a bit fried, but we don't think much of it. But around 30 seconds into him being in the room, the vibe shifts, okay? It feels a lot more tense. I'm not sure what it is. But he starts talking about whether or not we can fight, you know, if we've ever been in a street fight, this and that. And then he does something which gets all of us on guard, okay? He grabs me by the collar and he's like, can you fight, bruh? Can you fight? And he's like, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this bloke's like wigging out, like he's not in his right mind, you know, like he might have done something a little bit harder on this particular night. Yo, brother, if you're enjoying the story, please hit the subscribe button to hear stories like this every single week with amazing storylines and crazy life lessons. But with that said, I'll let you get back to the video. And so I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, get off me, get the fuck off me. He's got me by the collar, right? No more than 10 seconds later, my brother looks up from his phone, realizes what's happening, grabs his chingy, launches off the bed and says, get the fuck off him, get the fuck off my brother. And he's like waving it around like this. And bro, when I tell you, this bloke's face dropped like that. Like he went from like sort of a joking serious manner to like just completely like, what the fuck? Lets go of me, backs up really quick and scurries out of the room like a mouse. Okay, so we're all sort of a bit distraught after that. We're not sure what that was all about. The rest of the night goes pretty normal, aside from Josh's mum sort of going missing for a bit there. Did a whole video on that if you want to watch it, videos on the screen. But anyhow, about a week goes by, we get past this whole experience, as fucked up as it was, and we're staying at Josh's house again, okay? My brother's not there this time. It's me, Dallas, Crocker, Josh, and this other kid who we knew, Rufus. Now, once again, plans are pretty simple for this night. We're gonna esh up, play GTA, play Fortnite, eat shitty food, and just spin yarns, all right? So I'll get to Josh's house. We're in the granny flat at his nan and pop's house. That's where we'd always stay. And this time we're sitting on the couch, you know, one of the boys is playing Fortnite, and somehow we get into the conversation of what drugs we've done before. Okay, so everyone's going over what they have done, what they haven't done. And it gets to me. All right, so I say everything, I'm not gonna say it on here. And it doesn't make me proud to say this, but I had done the most out of everyone, okay? And that really inflated my ego at the time because I saw that to be cool. Of course it's not. But I then asked the question, has anyone ever done cocaine? Of course, we're 14 years old. None of us had done it. Stupid thing to do. But now that the seed's planted, I say, do you boys want to get some? Of course, they say, yeah, let's do it, like everyone's sort of keen to do it. Anyhow, long story short, we weren't able to get it on this particular night. The person who we were going to arrange ended up leaving town. You know, he was going to a party or something. So I don't get it this night, all right? But fast forward to a full month later, all right? I'm at the gym training one day by myself, and I message my mate Crocker, who you know, is feeling sick. That's why he wasn't there with me. And I say, bro, like, do you want to come train tonight? If you do, I'll stay at your house, yada, yada, yada. And we end up coming to an agreement that I'm going to stay at his house. We're going to play a bit of Minecraft. He'll come back for a night session. He'll be able to train because he'll be feeling better. And we'll just have a good night. Okay, so I finish up at the gym. I walk to his house and we get talking. He tells me he's feeling a lot better. And we jump on the game. We jump on Minecraft. Whilst we're playing, this idea pops into my head. The same idea that I had a month ago at Josh's house. I say to him, do you want to get a bet tonight? And he says to me, what? Like cocaine? And I say, yeah. And he goes, yeah, let's do it. Now, first and foremost, before I dive deep into this story, I want to say I'm not promoting the use of this in any way. I'm not glorifying this. This is purely just a story to teach the lesson which I learned from it and show you how fucked up these situations can end, okay? So I say to Crocker, all right, I'll organise it. Let me just order a pizza for dinner and then I'll message this bloke. Right, so I order my pizza and then I message this guy that I know. We arrange a meet-up time, get back to playing Minecraft like nothing happened. 30 minutes later, my pizza arrives, you know, chow it down, eat the whole thing, and we leave Crocker's house. We go get the stuff at our arranged time, and we walk back to Crocker's house. And I remember as we're walking back, I had this feeling in my stomach. It wasn't just from the whole pizza that I'd just eaten. It was sort of this feeling of anxiety, not sure what to expect, not sure what was to come in the night ahead. And I would literally just say that's all it was. I was super anxious because, you know, 14-year-old kid, bro, never done this particular thing before, about to make a decision which ended up being very regrettable. Anyhow, we get back to Crocker's and he's wanting to do it this second, but I tell him like, nah, bro, I don't think I can do it just yet. You know, like wait half an hour to an hour, play a bit of Minecraft, wait for my food to digest and we'll do it, okay? So around 45 minutes later, I figure my food's digested enough. I say to Crocker, let's do this, bro. Right, so he goes first and he regrets it immediately. Tastes like shit, he says to me. Now shortly after, I have some, I think the exact same. It's fucking disgusting. Now it's after this that we decide we should probably head off to the gym because we don't want to be around Crocker's mum whilst we're, I guess you'd say, impaired, all right? So I say to Crocker, let's go to the gym. And stupidly, we walk to the gym thinking it's a good idea to train on. Stupid as fuck, I know. As we're walking up to the gym, I get this feeling in my stomach. I'm feeling really sick. You know, I was feeling sick before, but I'm feeling even worse now. My body just starts rejecting it. I chunder like you have never seen, okay? My whole pizza comes up and I say, fuck bro, I feel so sick. Obviously Crocker's got a cast iron gut, he feels completely fine. We get up to the gym, tap in, go into the locker room and continue our antics there, all right? Now by this point, I'm not really feeling anything at all, but just looking at Crocker and the way he's acting, the way he's talking to me, my guess would be that he is, okay? So we walk out of the locker room and we start warming up, okay? Crocker's doing shoulder press. Now by this point, I'm definitely feeling it, okay? I'm recording myself and I'm bopping in the mirror and Crocker's just, you know, doing his set on shoulder press. But around 10 to 15 minutes into being there, I'll sort of say to Crocker like, bruh, it's really hard to train on this stuff, you know, like it's really hard to focus. We decide, all right, let's try it. We're gonna go for a walk. And we leave. We walk for around 10 minutes and by this point it's most definitely hit us. But around 15 minutes into us walking, we decide it's too cold, we're gonna go back to the gym and get into it again. All right, we're gonna try and hit some PRs. We get back to the gym and we literally this shit until there is nothing left. All right, we come out of the bathrooms and we load up the bar on bench press. You know, we're warming up, getting ready to hit some PRs. I load it up to my max, which is 80 kilos at the time. And I try and press it. It's fucking shaky. I don't get it. I fail miserably, all right? Now it's after this that we decide it's getting a little too cold, even in the gym. We should probably go home and I guess you'd say experience some of this at Crocker's house. All right, so we walk back to Crocker's, we get inside and we talk for a bit, right? We're sitting down talking, but around half an hour into being back at Crocker's house, I start to feel fucked. Like when I say fucked, I mean the worst I've ever felt. I get hit with this terrible like wave of, I guess, depression. I've never felt this low in my life. Okay, so what's happening is I'm coming down, all right? I've been in this super euphoric state for about the past hour, and then I am coming down below baseline, right? So I feel like shit. I'll say to Crocker, oh, bruz, I want to go to bed. Like, we should probably just go to bed, hey. And I don't tell him how I'm feeling. Right, so Crocker takes the couch, lets me sleep in his bed, being the good c*** that he is. And bro, I lay there for like 2 hours just thinking to myself, with not a single positive thought on my mind. It's all negative. All I can think is, this is fucked. I start sort of thinking, maybe I can get some more, maybe we can do more of this, I can come up with some money, Crocker can just pay me back. My brain starts rationalizing doing more of this drug, okay? And I can honestly see, bro, how people get addicted to this shit so easily. Not that I was or ever would be, but I can really see the psychology behind it, and it's so sad, man. I was having these thoughts of my nan, who had just recently passed away the month before. I was having thoughts about how my girlfriend, who was really nice to me at the time, was sitting at home completely clueless as to what I'd just done, and I'd gone behind her back. You know, we were really honest with each other in the sense that, you know, we didn't want each other doing drugs. We really looked out for each other's well-beings, and I had just gone behind her back and done that. And I mean, what the fuck could I expect? I'm a 14-year-old who's just ingested cocaine. I am lucky that I did not die this night, okay? The story doesn't end here. I'm gonna tell you what happened after. A few months later, so by 15 years old, I'm addicted to porn, addicted to punching cones every day, and treating my girlfriend like absolute shit. And I had no idea at the time that this purely just came down to the fact that my life was full of these short-term pleasures. What you have to understand is that the easier the dopamine is to acquire, the harder your life's gonna be. You're just gonna keep digging yourself a hole, okay? The path to hell feels like heaven, but the path to heaven feels like hell. The harder the thing is to do, the more right it is to do. And the easier it is to do, the more negative of an impact it's gonna have on your life, the more negative it is to do. I just kept giving into these short-term pleasures, and as a result, my relationships suffered. Not just my relationship with my girlfriend, my relationships with my friend. Stopped talking to Crocker, stopped talking to all of my other mates. They moved away, they distanced from me. They didn't want anything to do with me anymore. And by August of 2022, right, just 6 months later, I was a pepperoni-faced cone head with no friends, no relationship, and a porn addiction, okay? I can't stress this enough. In the span of 6 months, I went from a super healthy kid, pumping the gym every day, good relationship with my girlfriend, not really fighting much at all, good friendships, you know, good mates, to now being alone, single, broke, ugly, and an addict, okay? I went down this path which led me straight to hell. And I can't stress this enough, bro. To any youngin' out there who thinks this shit is a good idea, the place you think that path leads isn't where it fucking leads, okay? It's all glorified online. People think this stuff is so cool. It's normalized these days. You look up to the people who are going to parties. It's not worth it. It is for fucking losers. The people who are partying in school and the people who are doing this shit turn out the worst in real life, okay? High school is such a bullshit metric of how successful you will be in real life. The coolest, most popular kids in school turn out to be the biggest fucking losers who are doing nothing productive with their life these days. I know I would rather be considered a loser in high school for not doing the things that are considered normal than to be considered cool for doing the things that are considered normal, but turn out an absolute fucking loser in my life. It's decisions like the one mentioned in this story that fried my brain so much to the point where I thought it was actually a rational decision to some guy up with my 3 mates. And this is the decision which landed me in a lengthy court case where I was facing 3 different charges and up to 3 years in juvie, okay? It's not until now, when I'm 2.5 years clean, that I'm able to step back and look and see how fried I was at the time, the things that I thought were normal, the things that I glorified at the time, and the life that I was leading, how fried it was and how terrible of a position that I was in. So please, I can't stress it enough to any teenager watching this. That path that you are leading, that path you're thinking of going down, or perhaps you're even already on it, it is not fucking worth it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you did truly find some value in it and I'm able to impact your life. I'll see you in the next one. Hit the subscribe button. Stay grinding, my G.